What's going on to you, Sagittarius? Hope y'all are having a great day. Morning, by the way. So for you, Sagittarius, you have the King of Raphael, the Ace of Raphael, and then you also have the Leap of Faith. So, um, so for you, Sagittarius, right? There's a sense of you not being so caught up even with the past, not really taking even the past events too sentimentally to where you end up doing and saying something that you pretty much will regret later on. A lot of you Sagittarius are you know, getting over your emotional problems, right? Your emotional hangups that you may have had with some people and situations in the past. And you're actually moving forward from those situations because you understand that it's a good idea to learn from them, but it's not a good idea to necessarily get upset and want to say something to somebody or do something to somebody. So there's a sense of you, Sagittarius, moving forward, right, in your lives in general, and actually looking at it from a perspective of not just moving forward physically, obviously, but emotionally and mentally and spiritually, right? Learning the lesson without necessarily wanting to have the drama attached to it. And see, the situation is the two of Gabriel and the six of Raphael is all about how this is about you're doing that, but the six of Raphael is, an ex isn't. And this is kind of one of your greatest tests to see how serious you actually are. Are you, Sagittarius, truly serious about moving forward? And this is how, things are in life sometimes. Like, you know, your life, your higher self will test you, will test yourself here like this. You know, we're talking quantum physics now. You know what I'm saying? That will literally happen. It will test you. You will test yourself because when the other person comes back, okay, you'll make a decision about like your heart and things that are sentimental to you, and you'll decide to actually not get attached. But then when you decide that you're not going to hold on to this messed up situation anymore, what will happen is certain things will happen to where now it's like, okay, when this pops up, when the very thing that you said that you're not going to engage in pops up, will you be weak? And will you say, oh, okay, you know, you'll end up obliging, right? You'll end up obliging it or them or they, or will you essentially decide to stay away from it? There's been many a times that I thought that I was, cold and heartless and stuff like this. And then a person comes in, and this was before I had the amount of knowledge that I do now. And then I'm thinking to myself, okay, give them another chance. And I did, and I basically end up getting messed up until I started to learn from my lesson. Like, okay, not everybody deserves a second chance with me. So I stopped giving everybody a second chance. Some people get a second chance, but not everybody does deserve a second chance. So I stopped giving certain people second chances. And because I realized that, this was like a test. Can I actually move forward from even, yeah, I may have liked them, but can I even move forward even from them? And so part of that ended up helping me kind of develop that kind of, surfer's mentality of not necessarily really, holding on to anything or to anyone, that airbender freedom kind of mentality where, you're detached, you're not really holding on to anything or to anyone too tightly because I'm really seeing how messed up certain situations are. Like I'm sitting over here, don't know why I'm getting into arguments with certain people in the past. And then some time goes by and then they come back. And then what, right? I accept them back. And then they end up doing the same goofy nonsense in the first place. And then now I'm upset because because why did I let them come back in the first place? Right? That's the catch-22. So when I started to really have the mentality that people go do what they want to do, regardless of the who or what, warn them, but at the same time, if they're really so caught up, if they're really focused, dedicated to messing their lives up, let them do it. So the 7 of Raphael and the 6 of Gabriel, right, is about how, so because of that, you, Sagittarius, they'll look at you like you going to get you, like you speaking to somebody else, but at the same time, this is the dysfunction of what I'm talking about. You're not in a relationship. A lot of you are not in a relationship. Y'all are free agents to basically, get to know as many people as you want. That's one of the great things about being, single. When you're not single, you're looking, that's exactly what it is that you got going on. You're looking. You're not necessarily with anybody, You're for sure when you're with someone, be dedicated to them, right? But at the same time, if you're not with anybody and you're single, you get to speak to whomever it is that you want to. But they're looking at it like, your ex is looking at it like, oh, you going with somebody else. But see, that's the delusion, that's the dysfunction, that's the projection, because you're not going with anybody else. And this is what it is I was trying to tell you, Sagittarius, about how you, like, with a person who thinks like that, you could be in a situation with them where you don't even get along with them like that, because they too busy making problems. And then like y'all two could break up, but then they still think that the two of y'all are together. You may not hear from them in years, I've heard people talk about how, they haven't heard from the person that they used to go out with that dumped them in over 20 years. Because they're older like that, and then they haven't heard from them in over 20 years, and then out of nowhere, a 20-year stretch of not hearing from them, they hear from these people again out of nowhere. And it's like how you not talk to me for 20 years and then they just pop up out of nowhere, and then they basically get around the money, right? And then they'll say things like, oh, sometimes they'll even say things like, oh, they love you and stuff like that. So the things that the 3 of Gabriel here is about how, you Sagittarius, y'all are beyond that though. Y'all don't want to have anything to do with any ex of any kind, especially not how they're moving now. You moving forward, and they're basically trying to stop you, Sagittarius, from moving forward by keeping you focused on them, by keeping you distracted from actually living your life without realizing that you don't need them, and you probably didn't need them before. Then you have the 9 of Raphael and the King of Ariel, right? So again, the King of Ariel, which is like the King of Pentacles, they think of themselves as being very slick, sly. They think of themselves as being smarter than you, more strategic than you, and stuff like that. And the 9 of Raphael speaks to how, and they're confident in that. But this is where their confidence becomes overconfidence, because again, this is a good thing that you actually decided to leap of faith, to not take them seriously, because they're still on some nonsense anyway. You know what I'm saying? They still on some nonsense. They still essentially up to no good, because the way that they moving from a perspective of, even though they're the lesser, they're still looking at it from a perspective of they're the greater, or they're trying to give off the impression that they are that way. Because all of that type of stuff of them saying that they're sorry, or maybe they said that they're sorry, or maybe you got the impression that they're sorry. All of this stuff is to get you to feel a certain kind of way. and to draw your own conclusions. Come to your own conclusions on your own, and have you, Sagittarius, unfortunately, do all the work. And this is why it is that I talk about, having discussions, words and actions, words and actions, words and actions. You need both. Stop listening to only words. Stop watching only actions, words and actions. Why? Because when a person only does things and they don't say anything, no discussion is had, what happens is you start jumping to conclusions a lot of the times. So what happens is this is what this person is trying to do. Like how it is that a person can hang out with you, and then like y'all could be having romantic fun, but they're not actually calling it a relationship. They're calling it a this. They never call it a relationship. And it's like, okay, but what this are you talking about? What is this? What is going on with this, right? What is going on? But they never actually call it a relationship. And it's like, until they call that thing a relationship, that's not what it is. But then you'll be thinking to yourself, if you're inexperienced, oh, we're in a relationship. But no, because did this person say that? And if you are in a relationship, granted, you're not in a functional one. It's dysfunctional. So yeah, you may be connected to this person, but are the two of y'all going out on dates? Is there progression in this relationship? Is this person doing things to meet you halfway, to bring the connection between the two of you closer? Are they trying to make the connection stronger between the two of you? Are they calling it a relationship? If they're not doing any of that type of stuff, is there romantic fun being involved? Did you meet this person's family members? If there's, what I'm saying, do you know something about any of them, right? If you haven't, and so a lot of the times people end up getting caught up with the assumptions, but they are the ones that make the assumptions in their own head about what this is. You feel me? Don't ever get caught up with this. Don't ever get caught up with a person talking about, let's not put titles on it, or whatever the case may be, or whatever the case may be. I got caught like that because I didn't want to necessarily be in a relationship. So the person begged me to be in a relationship. This is the goofy stuff. This is the hyena goofiness. Begged me to be in a relationship. Begged me to be in a relationship. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and give you a chance. Now the person started trying to flip the script on me. It was a circus. It was a circus show, because it's like, you begged me to be in a relationship with you, yo. You begged me for this. It's like, why are you acting like you gangster now? Like you thugging it out now. You begged me for this. Now you trying to act like the roles flip. It's like, shawty, oh my gosh, like people squandering it, ruining their relationships, fam, ruining their relationships, ruining it. Let's clarify the King of Ariel. Everything dysfunctional people turns to trash. They don't know how to do a lot of things right. They don't even know how to exist in a romantic interest relationship. They gotta muddy the waters on that too. So to clarify the King of Ariel, you have the Tower, the Devil card, the Sun card, the Empress, and then you have the Four of Pentacles. They know they don't really want a relationship, but then when you treat them like that, now they're wayward. They always want the opposite of what you give them. If you start off as a relationship, they're going to dub you. I just want something where, we're not really too serious. Then when if it's someone else, and then you approach them from a non-relationship perspective, now they all mad and uptight and upset. And upset and angry. Let's be in a relationship. Yo, stop trying to offer me the opposite of what it is I'm giving you. Otherwise, I'm going to dump you. Matter of fact, this relationship is over. Because to be in a relationship with what? For what? Maybe even on the flip side, get at them from the flip side, the other side. Okay. To be in a friends with benefits situations for what? It's going to be short-lived anyway. Then on the other side, okay, be in a relationship for what? That's not what it is that you even really want. You see what I mean? It's like, this is what I mean when I say they don't even know whether or not they coming or going, right, for you. And so the situation now is the Tower, the Devil, and the Sun card is all about how this is their mentality. They're all over the place with their Sagittarius. You see what I'm saying? They want to make you be in love with them or like them so that they can basically dub you later. Now they're going to go ahead and get back at you or whatever because of the fact that, they had to resort to begging you and asking you one too many times and all this other type of stuff. And it's like, but again, like, who are these people in the first place to think, to try to perceive themselves so highly to the point where it doesn't even make any kind of common sense? So the Empress and the Four of Pentacles represent you, Sagittarius, have more self-respect than to fall for that. You know what's coming next. You know that you, Sagittarius, are supposed to know that the minute that y'all two get back together, if the two of y'all was to get back together, you would know that it's only a matter of time before they start wilding out. Because they're not meant to be trusted. So that's pretty much it. Other than that, you Sagittarius need to go find someone brand new, live your lives, And this is what I mean when I say don't go back to people whom, you know are trash. See, what I like to do is that after I end the relationship or after the relationship is ended on me, I like to reflect. Not too much, but I like to reflect as I'm doing my emotional work to get it to lighten the load emotionally, and I'm resolving certain issues. I like to go ahead and reflect on who was bugging in the relationship, if the both of us were, if I was, if they were. And if I understand that they were essentially bugging or whatever, I realized that, why would I go back essentially? So that's pretty much it for now. Comment on the video, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, share the video. Peace. Oh yeah, and come through for a personal reading. Come get one.